All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Show. This week, doing something a little different, out of the studio into the weight room to talk with some of the seniors, and joined by senior Arley Morrell and Cresten Pore. We'll get to Coach Hoelting a little bit later in the interview, but fun to talk with you guys this season. A different mentality going into a season of football, knowing that you're the seniors and the tone kind of sets around the two of you. Cresten, I'll start with you, coming off of a 1,000-yard season last year, looking to build on that going into this season. How do you shape that, starting with the off-season, heading into week one?
I would just say looking to get better every week during the off-season, running routes out in the field, all the stuff we did, like we went to Hayes, got a lot better there, and then some 7-on-7 stuff that we did. It was just mostly just getting better, learning the routes, learning how to read the defense, and just that kind of thing.
Another year under your belt, and a lot of those routes going to go to senior Arley Morrell. Arley, one of the big tight end recruits in the state of Kansas this summer, the last couple years, and have committed to Colorado State University and looking to have a big season here for the Greenbacks. How's the offseason been?
It's been great. We've been getting better every day. A lot of people have taken on some big roles this summer. We lost a lot of great seniors last year, but I think we're gaining some even greater guys. They can step up and do the job.
How big a mind shift have you guys noticed just being seniors and actually getting to experience it, going from an underclassman to now being an upperclassman, and just not that there's weight lifted off your shoulders, but you really feel like the team is yours and you set the tone for it?
I would just say it's about leadership. Now we're the guys that have to lead the team and make sure everybody's getting in, make sure everybody's working hard, and that effort's just there. So
I definitely enjoy the role of taking care of all the guys and being in charge and letting them know if they need to pick it up, and instead of being the one getting yelled at and setting the standard for everybody.
Yeah. And so 9 seniors out on this year's roster. The two of you, captains for sure. Coach Hoelting said you were the unanimous picks. Traditionally, there's been 4 captains all season long. This year, a little bit different. Going to have the 2 permanent captains and then rotating captains each week. And that, to me, shows a little bit just of how important the senior class is and how they all on the same page a little bit.
Yeah, it was a very close vote. Him and I kind of had a couple more votes than everybody, but it was very close for everybody else, and I think that really shows how much of an impact everybody has on the young class. So as long as we can keep influencing them to do good and getting better every day, that's all we can do. So.
You guys had the Jamboree last weekend out in Dodge City. How big is that, being able to get some live reps against some bigger schools, some smaller schools, played Cimarron and then Dodge City? A little bit difference in size from that Dodge City matchup versus Cimarron, but that's good for you going into week one. How did everybody feel coming out of that Jamboree?
I think we all felt great. It's good going in facing a bigger school, gets us really, I would say, competitive and more physical, I would say. So it's really helped us out for week one.
Yeah, it was nice to go against another school, being able to just get live reps, not against just our JV, but people that, are our level, and just to actually get us better every day. And, they're getting us better every day, and then when we go out there against them, we can show what we can do. So.
Now, week one matchup against a big rival in Hoelting coming up this week. What's the mindset going into week one?
Just got to do our jobs. They're obviously the wing T offense, and it's very responsibility based. And if you don't do your job, you're going to get burned. So.
I would just say it's a big game for us because it's a tone setter for our season. It's helping us know how we're going to do this season. Let's just go compete and try and get a win.
All right, boys, appreciate it. I look forward to calling the game Friday night. If you're listening to this on the radio, you cannot see these 3 mustaches. Best in the state. All right, thanks, guys. All right, now joined by head coach Brent Hoelting. Coach, I know you're a head football coach, so you don't take many days off. There is really no off season for you, but me, it's been 306 days since I called a Pratt High football game, and Greenback Nation's anything like me, we're ready for some football Friday night. Walk us through the off season. Just talked with 2 of your big seniors coming into this year, but walk us through that off season, summer, up to this point.
I think first you start out with, we have a meeting, we wait till spring, and that's when it kind of starts. We'll give them, basketball season off kind of, and then in spring we'll have a meeting sometime and kind of get numbers and see our senior class and say, hey, you're the guys now. You're leading summer workouts. We draft summer weights teams every year. I think I'm surprised they didn't tell you that their team won. These guys' team won. They they were captains and their team won, Arley and Cresten's, the summer weight competition. We always let them design a t-shirt. They get whatever they want. I want to make it special. So all of our seniors draft teams. We do competitions and then weight room attendance in the summer. Um, we went to Pore State padded camp. We hosted a 2-day jamboree here. So we got to see a bunch of different teams this summer. I think if you count it up, I think we saw 12, 13 different teams this summer.
How big is that compared to what it used to be like, where you wouldn't even see those live reps against other opponents? It was always just inter squad.
Right. That's what's huge. You want to stay injury free. That's
Yeah.
a big thing. But it's so neat to be able to do that, to be able to see different defenses, different offenses, and kind of see what you have, live reps, live bullets against other teams in the summer. I think it's really advantageous when we do that, and these kids do a good job of committing to it, because I know it's a lot. Kids get asked to do a lot in the summer. Our kids do a great job of committing to that stuff and having fun with it. We always have fun going to travel into the team camp. So do that, and then start installing all summer. We install 1 day a week all summer, and then do weights 3 days a week, and then get ready for the season. Now it's here. We're ready to roll this week.
You mentioned it's good to see what you have in some of those opportunities throughout the summer. Was there something throughout the summer you found that you realized you had that maybe you didn't think you'd have going into the summer?
I don't know if found is a keyword. I think we have some people grow. You talk about Arley, he's gained 20, 30 pounds of muscle in the off season. Cresten's gotten a lot bigger. Josiah has gained a lot of weight, and I could go on and on and on. I think you find those kids taking that next step in that next grade. And I think what we found this summer, we have speed. That's one thing. We're probably more athletic than we've been since I've been here. Trying to fortify the trenches a little bit, but we have speed, and that definitely helps. We got some guys. Well, we found this summer, no matter who we were playing, Goddard, whoever, we have guys that can make you miss in space. And when you can do that, then it's my job to get them in space, and so we can make plays.
That's something that, not that we haven't seen it in the past couple of years, but definitely going to be an added bonus this year. And talking about the Liggett kid, some of that speed in the backfield. Sophomore Cade Liggett, not able to play last season due to a preseason injury, so looking to make his debut. Hoisington week 1 here for the Greenbacks. Talk a little bit about him in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, Cade just brings that home run element every time he touches the ball. He's big. He's a sophomore. The other day we were maxing out. He cleaned 290 as a sophomore, and he had the fastest 200 in the state, 1A through 6A. As a freshman, I think he went 22.3. So he brings that home run hitter threat every time he touches the ball. Got a good arm too. He can throw. So I think we're really excited to see what he can do in terms of getting to the edge. He's learning and he's getting better and better every day about being physical, finishing runs. But he just brings that. When he gets out in the open, no one's going to catch him, and that's pretty fun to watch. Our kids have had to block a little different because whereas Tate was so good at being patient and dissecting, getting in and out, weaving in and out. Cade puts his foot in the ground and he's gone. So I think we've had to learn that. I think that's what helps with all those summer reps, and how to block for people like that, how to block for our speed, because it's different. It's different. So I think that's been advantageous to us. I think we're playing faster because of it, and it's just going to benefit us this fall.
You talk about the running game a little bit. Take it back to the passing game with two of these guys we just talked to, Cresten and Arley. It's been since the 2013 season since the Greenbacks have seen a 1,000-yard passer, and Cresten Pore 1,006 yards last season for the Greenbacks. Now with Morrell back, the big target. What are you expecting out of those two this year?
I think big. I mean big numbers. Arley had a great summer. He was open all summer. We know, and Arley knows he's going to get a lot of extra attention. And even then, he's still got to get open because he's a mismatch problem with everybody we play. So I think he knows that he's going to have a big year. And I tell our kids, we are literally 9-10 deep of guys that I love to put on the field and get the ball in their hands. And it's a problem sometimes because you can't get them all in the field.
That's a luxury or a problem.
Right. But it's a great problem to have. And our guys are good about the understanding that if we can spread the ball around and touch it, Cade and Arley and Kyler and Cresten and Hudson Titus and Caleb Strong and Landon DeMuth and Cameron Cox and Gavin Roop, and I can keep going, right? We got all these guys that when they can touch the ball, they can make things happen. And it's an awesome problem to have. We got a great group of receivers. Besides Arley, Landon's 6'3" and Caleb's 6'2". We got some height there. Gavin's 6'2". We got some height there. We got some speed. We got some physicality. So we're looking forward to seeing, we preach to them all the time, the better you block in the running game, the more they're going to come up and the more home runs we're going to be able to hit. And then Cresten's had a great summer throwing the ball. He's done a really good job. He's just getting more and more mature in his reads. getting more comfortable. When relaxing back there, so to speak, the game slowed down a little bit. So I think we got to take advantage of that. We got to hit explosives in the passing game this year and combine that with our physicality in the running game and be able to hit more chunk yardage this year. We call chunk plays 20+ yard plays, and ideally we want to hit 8+ of those a game.
Now, Cresten and Arley, 2 of your 9 seniors. Talk about a little bit more of that senior class and just how they've gone through this summer, set the tone. They talked about it a little bit, but from your perspective, what has this senior class done to get you ready for week 1?
I've been really proud of their leadership. We got some guys out that hadn't been out in the past. Madden Wilson's a huge addition for us. And when we got Madden to commit to playing, once he committed, he has been amazing. Nothing short of spectacular. Brings it every day in practice. And Madden's a game changer. He's a 265-pound kid who can move. He's super athletic for his size. Very, very strong. Very physical. We talked about Josiah. Those 2 got to lead the way up front. Luke Gatlin's a returning All-State, All-League linebacker. We're putting him down on the line, and Luke's great instincts, great leader. Gavin, and we can keep going with those guys. Cresten, Arley, all of those guys that we have up front. Cameron Cox has had a great summer. We're going to look for big years from those guys. Quite simply, those guys have got to come and play for us. They've got to lead us every Friday night. They've got to be great for us. They know, when you're senior year, this.
Yeah.
Your sense of urgency picks up a little bit.
Yep.
When you
start counting those games, start getting numbered.
You start getting numbered, and you start realizing, man, because we talk all the time about every sport and everything you can do for your school, for your community is special, but you can't run out under the Friday night lights again. You can play a little rec league basketball, or you can play slow pitch softball, or some of that stuff to somewhat approximate the competition. You can't approximate high school football and Friday nights, and that's why it's so special. And obviously, I know how special it is here in Pratt, Kansas on Friday nights. And so I think these guys are looking forward to it. They have embraced the challenge. I always tell them player-led teams are better. If I have to motivate us, if I have to get honest all the time about effort, then it's going to wear thin. And so, a couple of them today, it was a tough practice. We're ready for a game. We've got 3 weeks. I just want to whisper to them, hey, can't come from me. I need the energy up. It's on you guys. And what I love is these guys answer that call. They start bringing it. So that's been fun. It's been an extremely fun group to coach, and we're just looking forward to competing.
And that competition comes to Friday night. Hoelting Cardinals, always a tough matchup. Week 1 this season. Head coach Zach Baird, a great coach, one of the best in the state at that Hoelting school. You're 3-3 against him in your tenure. One of you two going to get the advantage Friday. I know you're not going to give me much going into this game. You never do. But got to ask, heading into Friday night against a tough league matchup like Hoelting, not a whole lot of more history between 2 schools than Pratt and Hoelting.
Right. It's a great matchup. I respect the heck out of Zach. He runs a great program. It's been either them or us winning the league title the last 6 years. And whoever's won that game has won the league title. And we know all roads go through them. We think that they know it goes through us as well. We won it last year, and what you can count on with them, they're going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to be really physical. They're going to play really stinking hard. So that about them. And I've told our kids, we have to exceed their physicality. We have to exceed their effort, because they are going to give fantastic effort, and they're going to be very, very physical. So we've got to exceed those things. We've got to play harder than we think we possibly can, because that's how hard they're going to play. And I think that's fun. It's always scary when you start out with their opponent.
They're
like
a great week 1 test. They let you know where you're at.
You know where you're at. They're going to be a state title contender every year. And we know that, and we welcome it. We know coming out of this game, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves. No matter if we win or lose, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves. And that's what great thing about playing them. They force you to be disciplined. They force you to play fundamentally sound. They force you to play hard. And that's what you want out of your team anyway. So it's a fun week 1 matchup.
Coach, looking forward to the matchup. Good luck Friday night.
Thank you.
All right.